the thing about God is we don't know his plan. His plan is greater than what we know. His ways are greater than what we think. And as terrible as things happen in the world, it's just, you gotta have faith, man.
Ignore the problem. It'll go away.
Yeah, ignore it. That's bound to work. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to Bridge the Divide, where I examine irrational beliefs, the irrational behaviors that often follow, and how we, with education, rationality, and reason, can bridge the societal divides that they create. Today, we're going to take a look at a video from the infamous Jared Genesis, in which he makes the claim that atheists are stupid and should be avoided at all costs.
That spawn of Satan.
Now, while I don't know all the nuanced details of Jared's illustrious YouTube career, beyond the fact that he has a long history of abhorrent trolling of pretty much anyone he sets his sights on, the evidence of that behavior being the resultant shutdowns of multiple iterations of his channel. And I do concede that there is not much headway likely to be made with someone who spouts terrible crap on the internet all day, especially when that individual is behaviorally conditioned to interpret all manner of negative feedback as validation.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
But I do think that Jared and his video here can serve some small purpose as an object lesson. So let's take a look at what he has to say about atheists in general and see if he's actually given this topic any real thought, or if this video is simply another attempt to bait outrage in his lifelong desperate need for acknowledgement.
So today, guys, I don't really know what to talk about.
Well, seeing as how your video is titled, "Atheists are stupid and should be avoided at all costs," I suspect you do have something on your mind. And even if it is just a trolling stream of consciousness that eventually coagulates into some form of coherent topic, what piqued my curiosity is if there might be some glimmer of a fragment of an inkling of a valid criticism buried deep like the Arkenstone under all your rhetoric.
I just saw we talk about atheists, bro.
Okay, you want to talk about atheists. Is there anything in particular about atheists you would like to address? Like, I don't know, maybe some evidence you'd like to present that would invalidate the non-theistic worldview?
Because I noticed that there's a lot of people these days that seem to believe that there's no higher power, that there's no God.
And that's to be expected, given the slow grind of many people in both on and offline communities, exposing the belief in a god or gods for the irrational notion that it is.
And to these people, all I can simply just say is, look outside, dude.
Okay, so your plan here is to play the whole look at the trees, emotional appeal argument from incredulity angle. Given that the existence of the universe is itself in no way evidence for the existence of your God or any other creating entity, I'm now curious to know exactly how you managed to convince yourself that it is and why you think other people should believe it.
Like, do you really fucking think, are you really that stupid to think that this all happened by chance?
So there's no logical contradiction in the universe in which we reside being the result of natural unguided forces. What that means is that it is entirely possible that it is. The evidence we have available to us even indicates that that is likely why the universe exists and exists the way it does. So no, acknowledging logical possibility is not stupid by any stretch. The only reason you think it's stupid, Jared, is because when it comes to this very topic, atheists are generally not in the habit of putting their emotions ahead of the evidence. So your issue here isn't really with atheists acknowledging and accepting logical possibility. It's your personal incredulity that anyone could simply not feel the same way about the universe as you do.
This highly complex, fine-tuned universe.
Complex, sure, I can get behind that. Fine-tuned? Certainly not. If the universe were fine-tuned for anything at all, given our understanding of what fine-tuned means, then it would be for black holes. And again, there is no logical contradiction in life, which is itself an emergent property of chemical interactions, also simply being the result of the right elements being in the right place at the right time under the right circumstances. Now, for those of you who may be familiar with this type of discussion, this is typically where the anthropic principle gets invoked. The idea that only we humans can observe a universe that allows for our existence, but without multiplying our entities unnecessarily, such as assuming that human beings are somehow special in all of the universe. This indicates that the argued parameters for fine-tuning are merely a bias resulting from our ability to make observations, and the conclusion that the universe is fine-tuned for life is nothing more than a cart before the horse assertion that the universe was specifically made to be observed by humans. And I will be the first to tell you, Jared, there is simply no rational reason to believe that our species is that special.
And I'm not saying you have to believe in a man in the sky. But obviously, if you're not an idiot, you have to see there was a higher power that created this, okay?
No, you don't. And while you can make numerous arguments as to the probability or possibility, the reality is that it would be irrational to hold the proposition as true until such an entity can be demonstrated to exist independent of mind and context.
You know, some kind of thinking energy, whatever.
You seem to be dancing on the line between deism and pantheism here. Now, you could reason yourself to deism, that a powerful creating entity kicked the football on the universe and then fucked off with no evidence left of its existence. While that is an unfalsifiable hypothesis, there's no logical contradiction there. Or you could simply relabel the universe as God to assuage some personal feelings you have about it. But like I said before, holding that either one of those propositions is true is irrational. In regards to deism, the most intellectually honest response is we don't know. In regards to pantheism, the most intellectually honest response would be, why do you feel you need to call the universe God? But in those instances, I say to each their own. It's only when the incoherent, logically impossible monster gods are invoked in order to justify ancient and now completely irrelevant tribalistic notions that these conversations need to be had.
But whatever it is, it's beyond us.
You want to tell him or should I tell him? You start.
I don't think you realize how that statement is self-defeating. Because I mean, if you did, then you probably wouldn't have said it. But the jury might still be out on that too. If this entity that you're talking about is definitionally beyond our comprehension, then how could you even possibly know that it actually exists, let alone make coherent statements about it? What you've essentially done here is tacitly admit that you must necessarily beg the question of the God's existence in order to state that it exists at all. And I would have to ask, why the hell would you do that knowing it's fallacious on its face?
And that's the thing, bro. Atheism is just narcissism.
Not even close there. Believing that you are somehow uniquely special in the universe, that the universe was made with you in particular in mind, that you are specially created with the intention of existing eternally, that you are the intention of a grand design, and literally all of eternity revolves around your personal beliefs and actions, that is the height of narcissism.
I have a giant ego!
Damn it, I knew that!
Recognizing, however, that you are none of those things, that you are not special, that you don't know everything, and that you likely never will, that the life you have is but one infinitesimal fraction of a single moment in the scope of the cosmos, and that one should be constantly mindful that one's beliefs and knowledge and actions and inactions directly affect all others around them, is the height of empathy and humility. So your accusation here, Jared, is really nothing more than a confession.
It's people who don't want to believe there's a higher power than them. It is, bro.
And that's where you're getting it wrong. It has absolutely nothing to do with want, and it has everything to do with what is entailed by irrationally believing that there is. If such a higher power truly existed, then what could we humans actually do about it? The answer is nothing. If such a thing were demonstrated to exist, then that would be the answer to one question. We would, of course, then move on to the next set of logical questions. But it hasn't been demonstrated to exist, and so we don't fall prey to all the various entailments of believing that it does. Why exactly would or should anyone assume that such an authoritarian figure exists at all, when the evidence shows that doing so only serves to function as a method to control people through threats of hell and promises of heaven? Would you yourself stay a slave if all the people around you who were already convinced that they were slaves simply told you that there was a slave master, while simultaneously being unable to provide any evidence for the existence of the slave master, thus resulting in all those people remaining slaves simply out of fear of the concept of a slave master? Assuming, of course, that you have even an ounce of critical facility, the answer would be a resounding no.
It is a hex from the devil because Satan was the first narcissist.
First, that assumes that such an agent exists. And second, you're ignoring the logical entailment of that part of your mythology. If the character of Satan were in fact a narcissist, and your god is the agent that actualized Satan, then the only way that Satan could possibly be a narcissist is if the god that you believe in, the one that made it, made that possible. So the question becomes, why would an omniscient, omnibenevolent, and omnipotent entity create another entity specifically to be a narcissist, or with the possibility of becoming a narcissist and then creating the circumstances that facilitated it becoming one, when nothing external of the god exists to mandate or require that such an entity exist at all? Invoking the Satan character for anything only exposes your god for the moral monster that its story entails it to be.
That's really what I view him as, because he was the first person to rebel against God, to rebel against a higher power, and to think that he's better.
And that very rebelling could only have been a possible action if your god created the circumstances that allowed for it. Perhaps you need to start critically examining your own beliefs before you start coming after anybody else's.
No, there's bad people everywhere, and Christians aren't perfect. I want to make that clear. I'm certainly not perfect, but I'm humble enough and I'm intelligent enough.
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
To know there is a power out there greater than myself, okay?
But you fail to see that that's not humility. The extension of that belief is that you are somehow uniquely special in the eyes of that power, that you specifically are intended to exist at all, and that everything in existence and what you believe lies beyond existence revolves entirely around what you believe, which again is the height of narcissism.
It's not just, the universe, okay? Unless you want to specify God as the universe, which, excuse me, I believe you could. I believe you could say God is the universe. And that's something that would completely fuck over the atheist. If you ever want to debate an atheist, tell them that.
Relabeling the universe as a god is in no way a defeater of atheism. And that's because it's a position that is the result of people unnecessarily slapping a label onto something else in order to assuage their personal feelings. And while not as narcissistic or toxic as the Abrahamic faiths are, it's still just as irrational.
But seriously, guys, I'm making this video just to try to help wake people up, because there's a lot of propagandists out there.
From what I can tell, you're making this video because you believe you know more than you actually do, which of course is evident by the claims you're making being directly contradicted by the logical entailments of your own worldview. I swear, if only I had $1 for every Dunning-Kruger theist rambling on the internet. And from this point, we're going to go ahead and skip the rest of the video, because at this point in the video, Jared just runs off into the wilderness with a rambling, conspiracy-laden rant. Now, to bridge the divide here, there's just a few things to point out. First, make sure that you can recognize when a troll is simply being a troll for the sake of gaining recognition. The severely lopsided ratio between personal insults and ad homs and actual claims and evidence is generally a dead giveaway. But second, also make sure that you can recognize how the information that the troll is attempting to spread actually exposes their very ignorance of the topics they're attempting to address. Even a deliberate troll can be countered so long as their obvious and desperate bait is never taken. And when you're able to recognize that, the result will usually be an over-the-shoulder insult as they walk away with their finger in the air. We're never going to stop all the trolls in the world, but we can educate ourselves about the various topics that they tend to hyper-focus on so that we know how to take the bullets out of their guns. And in that effort, such individuals will eventually fade off into the background, making room for more relevant and productive dialogue. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. And be sure to leave a comment below. I love reading your responses, and those interactions help with the dreaded algorithm. Don't forget, December is HIV/AIDS Awareness Month. A link to where you can support these important efforts is down in the description. And if you like what you saw here and would like to support this channel further, the link for channel membership and to get yourself some official Bridge the Divide gear is down in the description. Once again, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you for your continued support of this channel, and as always, be safe, be excellent to each other, and together we can bridge the divide.